It's really nice if you're able to get into your opponent's hand at the beginning of the game and start to take away some of their resources, especially if you can leave them with a hand that doesn't have any supporter cards. That's not going to be an option this time around. So we're going to see Aiden starting off the game here, and everyone's favorite card to see, that Ultra Ball. It's going to make sure that Aiden has a few plays on this opening turn.
Yeah, Ultra Ball, discarding that Lightning Energy and the Tapu Koko GX. Searching down, he does not play any of the Jirachi that we've seen some of the lists play, specifically Azul and all them.
Yeah. And that can either be playing around the Alolan Muck that has popped up, or maybe you just feel like you don't need to see those extra cards. If you just play everything that you want, you can just get all these energies in play and blow up before anyone has anything to say about it.
All right, there we go. Pikachu Zekrom GX hitting the bench, Tapu Koko Prism, and then a Lily for 7 cards. This turn 1 is looking pretty nice.
Yep, so Aiden would love to see more Lightning Energy, does find one here. That's going to be very helpful to getting the maximum out of his Tapu Koko Prism Star.
Yeah, this hand's pretty insane. Off those 8 cards, he got the Thunder Mountain Prism. He has the Rayquaza GX as well as a Volkner or Guzma for next turn as well.
Yep, Nest Ball as well, so he can find another Pokemon that he'd like to attack with and can get energy down on there too. Electromagnetic Radar too, so he can do so much right now. It's really just however he chooses to play out this hand, what resources does he value the most?
So far, this is almost a guaranteed turn 2 attack.
For sure.
Electromagnetic Radar searching for the Zeraora GX, and most likely the Dedenne, especially since the Pikachu Zekrom is prized.
Yep, so this means the turn can continue even further. There's an opportunity for Aiden to push all the way and go for a Marshadow even. If you can get this huge turn off and then also leave Tord with 4 cards in hand, you could punish him severely.
I mean, why not? Just you have to go for it. You win this match, you make it into day 2.
Yeah.
You're playing against Tord or Reklev. You need to throw everything you have against him.
He's got videos. Yeah, he's going for it. The Dedenne is in play now, looking around.
Really looking for an energy. And there's another Lightning Energy. He will be able to attach for the turn. And this is looking like one of the best starts you can have for this deck.
Oh, this is a huge turn, so he does have that available. He can either play it now and get some use out of the Marshadow, or he could wait until Tord plays a few cards. Honestly, from 5 to 4 is not terribly a big difference, but it could make such a world of difference if he does have the right cards in hand.
Yeah, I think you might wait at this point, but you never really know.
Right?
Like,
you already had such a strong turn. Do you have to keep pushing? And now it looks like he doesn't want to.
And it looks like that might have been a correct choice. Tord's hand, he does have the Tapu Lele for possibly a Lily or maybe Cynthia to try to refresh his hand, but there's 3 Guzma in his hand turn 1.
Yeah, you do not want to see those on the opening turn. Of course, he does have that Professor Elm's Lecture if he wants to go ahead and grab all of those Zorua. It's probably his favorite play. Just grab all the Zorua, all the, of course, the Ditto Prism Star as well. And as long as you have Zorua, that means that you have the option to get those Zoroarks into play, and man, does this guy like to trade.
Yeah, but looking at that hand, if he goes for the Professor Elm's Lecture, he won't really be left with anything else.
Right, he'd be left with a Kukui to draw into Zoroarks, and is that what we're doing? You know, it's tough to call at this point.
But again, if you try to go for he doesn't even have. There's no Lily in the deck.
Well, that's off the table then.
No Lily, no Cynthia. This hand is Professor Elm's Lecture hand.
All right. So we're also going to just check out what's going on in his deck. Got an eye on that Judge along with a few other cards. So just some nice ways to get back into a game.
Yeah, well, was seeing how it is. Judge is the only draw supporter outside of Professor Kukui that they actually play.
When you have Zoroark, who needs it? And just another peek over at Tord's prize cards. He's got that the 2 energy cards in his prizes, so could have a hard time finding some attacks in the future as well. Professor Kukui is really going to have to do some work for him in order to get out of this.
Yeah, you also see the Olivia in the prize cards. Tord plays 2 of those. It's a supporter card that searches your deck for 2 GX Pokemon and putting them in your hand.
Yep.
That sounds like 2 Zoroarks.
Yeah, usually that gets you a lot of cards.
He just needs to draw them. All right, well, Double Colorless comes down on the Meowth, and we see a Catterday from Tord. Draw 2 cards, and then this Pokemon is now asleep. So it matches the art, but just wakes up. It was a little bit tired.
Just a little cat nap.
I was just about to say that.
Well, Tord also made an interesting play. He attached to the active. It's kind of a hedge, so that if Aiden decides to take the knockout on the Meowth, it's not too big a deal. But Aiden doesn't want to knock out Meowth right now. He wants to take out Zorua or possibly Ditto. Ditto's the most versatile Pokemon that Tord has available.
All right, so we are seeing the Ultra Ball now from Aiden, grabbing that Marshadow, let loose such a powerful ability.
Tord already knows what's happening. He's kind of wants it to happen, honestly, with the way his hands is panned out. The 3 Guzmas in there. But
you kind of expect your opponent to let loose you when you have a good hand. Like, he basically just, all right, I'm going to Professor Elm's lecture. Oh, my hand's amazing. You should let loose
Look
me.
at all these cards.
I don't have 3 Guzma in hand.
And if I did, would I do this? Yep, so
this is best possible outcome for Tord. He gets his turn 1 setup, and then now gets to draw 4 brand new cards.
Yep, he got the Pokemon in play, which is what he needed, and now he's just got to hope to see the right cards off of this Marshadow Let Loose.
The Let Loose was pretty good for Aiden here. Does hit an energy as well as a Guzma, so Guzma will be able to take out the Ditto, and he'll be able to full blitz and charge up the active Pikarom.
Yeah, that's huge. He's going to be able to get so many energies in play. That's exactly what he's looking to do. And then all the pressure kind of goes over to Tord. He knows what he's up against. He didn't build his deck to really handle Pokemon like this. As soon as a Reshiram and Charizard or a Pikachu and Zekrom get set up like this, he kind of has to just attack into it and hope that it's enough. But always going to have to be going for that 2-hit knockout.
Yeah, and that's why they rely so heavily on Stinger GX as well.
Right.
All right, this is a great turn 2 from Aiden here. Really just capitalizing off of his really great turn 1.
So wants to just check how many cards are going on. He's got 3 cards in Aiden's hand. Didn't really do too much after that Marshadow, so just that Guzma. But it was kind of what he was going for, so not too much of a hand read for Tord to pick up here. Gonna promote the Meowth.
Has double Ultra Ball in his hand, as well as Acerola and Guzma. Ultra Balls away both of the supporters, most likely getting either the, I would think the Dedenne, right?
Yeah, so the Dedenne is gonna be able to lead into multiple Zoroarks, most likely. Going for the risky trade here, or using your supporter early just doesn't seem like the optimal line.
Another option he could have chose was maybe get the Zoroark trade and then discard the 2 cards for the Dedenne, but you run the risk of drawing something you need.
Right. Yep, Tord will likely play around anything that's sketchy like that. He wants to make sure that he gets the most optimal use out of all of his cards.
Yeah, he treats every card like it's his family. I don't want to get rid of you, but I have to.
I'm sorry. We'll recover you later. Yep.
All right, and then I think we will just see the Mew come down. Mew is one of the best cards in this situation, especially staring down a 5 energy Pikachu Zekrom GX.
Yep, it's a great tech for the matchup. It's got that bench barrier ability, so don't have to worry too much about that 6 energy attack wiping everything out. You can withstand a little bit here.
All right, well, Tord did draw into a Pokemon communication and a Pokemon to put back into the deck. He will be able to get the Zoroark GX, his namesake card.
Yep, so in classic Tord fashion, is he going to trade into trade into trade into trade? Or it looks like only 2 Zoruas in play, so it can't go all the way, but still very solid turn for him, going to be able to get some trade online and start to get through this deck, because it's a little too big for his liking right now.
Yeah, I'm used to Tord having like 10 cards in his deck and just having his whole deck in his hand.
And it's turn 3, and yeah.
Let's see, he decides to discard the Zorua off his trade. 2 cards coming for Tord. Two basics he cannot play, and this hand does not look like it can get there.
Yeah, it really can't go anywhere. And then it's going to be up to Aiden to decide what's the most important thing to take out. Is he worried about potential Persian GX coming into play, or does he really want to just wipe out these Zoroarks from trading? We'll see his strategy coming up soon in the next turn.
All right, and there is the retreat attached to that Tapu Lele and Energy Drive for 120 damage. And Tord doing what he needs to do to survive is just put damage on that Pikachu Zekrom GX, and hopefully he can knock it out later and potentially steal the game off of a Stinger GX.
Looks like it's been a minute since either placing the Energy Drive. Tord, of course, knows 140 damage is going to come in with the 7 energies in total between the two Pokemon.
All right, and even though Aiden does have those 2 great turns, his hand isn't really that hot right now.
Yeah, he really can't do that much.
And yeah, wow, just using full blitz, taking out the Tapu Lele thanks to the Choice Band, charging up the Zeraora GX on the bench, now going down to 3 prizes, but Tord has an out here. He just needs to find a double colorless or a triple acceleration energy to take the knockout on the Pikachu Zekrom.
Yep, and we also saw a Pokemon GX fall, so that means Persian is available if he's able to fall in, find that off of a trade or top deck. So a lot of things can happen this turn. It's going to be up to the draws.
Well, Pokemon Communication is a great start here. That gets the Persian, which means that gets anything in your deck.
Yep. He also has that Rescue Stretcher so that he could find Tapu Lele again, get a supporter card of his choosing. So definitely think Tord's going to be able to find a great way out of this situation.
Yeah, it's crazy how much Mew has affected this game.
Yeah. It's a fantastic slot for this deck. It makes so much sense.
Just imagine the tiny Mew going up to Zekrom and Pikachu like, hey, stop.
Hey,
no.
Hey, don't do that.
All right. Pokemon Communication. Deciding what to put back, too. That Marshadow is very good to take out the Thunder Mountain in play, so I think that's why he wants to keep it. Putting back the Poipole, and there is that Persian GX pulled to the front of his deck. Such a great card when paired with Zoroark GX.
Yeah,
who knew?
It makes so much sense in a deck like this when you have all these GX Pokemon to just make the use of that ability most likely multiple times.
Yeah, well, at least 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 with Stinger.
With Stinger, you can get spicy, yeah. So Tord looks like he's eyeing up that Judge as well, so.
Yeah, catwalk for that double colorless and the Judge here. I wouldn't be surprised if he played down that Marshadow. Yep, there it is. 2 double colorless down already. That is something to note. Zoroark is a deck that now can play a lot more energy resources with that triple acceleration coming out in Unbroken Bonds.
Yep. Tord is going to make use of that Marshadow, removing the Stadium card, getting that Judge into play as well.
Yeah, doing that now just because he already does have the knockout. Zoroark doing 100 damage without that full bench.
Yep. Now, Tord, thankfully, with the way that his prize cards are set up, he should be drawing into some of those energy cards we were talking about, so should have multiple attacks throughout the rest of the game. And Aiden is in a pretty rough spot, honestly. He didn't get his energies onto the optimal Pokemon. Of course, Zeraora can make some pretty good attacks, but he needs to find the right cards.
Well, pretty good attacks. He can make a knockout given what he drew in his hand. Choice Band Electro Power.
Those are definitely the amplifiers that you need to get there. Sometimes Judge can backfire.
All right, and here we see the first trade of the turn for Tord here. Does he find another Zoroark GX? Well, he finds 2 Rescue Stretcher. Don't know if that actually gets there, but it will get possibly a Zora into play.
Yeah, it's a great card for him to get down. Eventually, he could start to chain together those Zoroarks and start drawing a lot of cards.
Yeah, this deck is pretty rough, though, when you only have access to 1 trade.
Right.
You sacrifice a lot of your draw power with supporters for more setup-oriented supporters. The Olivias and the Professor Elms of the world.
Yeah, I'm sure that Tord would have loved to have had a Poipole in play at this point. This would mean that if for some reason Aiden was able to take this knockout off of the 4 cards, which we see right now, he's got that damage lined up, that would leave Naganadal's Stinger GX to come into play potentially, but he doesn't have that option. He's going to have to power straight through this guy.
And I don't know if he can. Off that Lily that he drew for the turn, gets the Guzma and plenty of resources to fight off and try to take one more prize for the game.
Yeah, it's looking really good for Aiden here.
All right, Plasma Fist Zeraora taking down the big Zoroark GX. Aiden going down to 1 prize left and is that much closer to trying to seal his way into day 2.
Now, if you're Tord, you have to find an answer for this Pokemon. You don't really play a way to knock this out. There's some...
So it depends how many Pokemon's in the discard, right?
I think it's like maybe 5. Like it's not much from what I can imagine.
All you need is 9, right?
So I think I see 6 right now. So yeah, there's that opportunity for sure. Tord's going to try to figure it out.
Oh man, this is so close. He does have access to Catwalk as well, so he has access to everything in his deck. It's just, does he have the right combination of cards to take the knockout?
Right.
And possibly judge his opponent.
Yeah, because that Zapdos along with a Guzma is threatening a knockout on anything that will get that 1 prize.
All right, there we go. Persian GX into that active, looking for a big vengeance. But with that hand, I don't know. No access to trade. Does have the Stretcher, but Stretcher lowers your damage output for the turn.
Right, so he'd have to... I guess he could always grab Zoroark, which would be able to draw him a little bit and discard more Pokemon, but kind of does the same thing, but he needs to see more cards. If he can find Ultra Balls, then he can use his Catwalk. He can find some Pokemon to discard. There's definitely opportunities for him to get there with Vengeance, but can he do it in combination with a card like Judge? Or it just seems pretty difficult at this point.
I mean, with access to any 2 cards in your deck, it seems pretty likely, but this is a very tough sequence to play. Your opponent basically has game on board. They haven't really played any Guzma this game, and you know they're just itching for that knockout.
Oh, yeah.
Rescue Stretcher does come down. Zoroark GX hits the board once again, and we'll see a trade discarding the Meowth, drawing 2 cards.
Yep. Wants to draw the cards first so that he can get the most information, also see if he can draw into some extra Pokemon before using that Catwalk.
Well, he does get that Tapu Lele GX, as well as Olivia, be able to search for 2 GX Pokemon, but no way to discard him. And if he does that, he won't have access to actually disrupt Aiden's hand.
Right, so he could use Olivia, find more GX Pokemon, and Catwalk for the Ultra Balls and get there, but can you also affect Aiden's hand?
Yeah, and I actually don't think so. He used that Judge earlier, and I believe that's the only one he plays. Yeah, does have Palpad, so maybe he was looking to trade into Palpad.
Yep.
But there is the Catwalk GX. He could get maybe Palpad Tapu Lele if it's in the deck.
Right, so he has that Stretcher, so he could Stretcher for the Lele after using the Palpad.
But again, that's just taking more Pokemon
exactly.
out of the discard.
It's so tricky.
Does have a Choice Band in his deck that he can use. That would lower the amount of Pokemon he would need by 1, I believe.
Helps out a little bit, but I think it comes down to him having to find the right cards off of a Judge if he was going to piece this all together.
Yeah, he's eyeing down Choice Band. And what is the next card? Maybe just a Pokemon to maybe discard. Looks like Alolan bring the Zoroark to get an extra Pokemon into the discard.
Yeah, we could definitely see that come up. Nanu's an interesting addition. Also has his Grimer, so he can...
Ooh, he's going to Nanu into the Grimer, evolve into the Alolan Muck.
Yep.
This is some next level play here.
So this now removes the Mew, so it's a little more tricky for Zapdos to take a knockout here.
All right, now he just needs to focus on getting this knockout. And I believe there's 7 Pokemon in the discard now.
Yep, so we'll have to see just how many Pokemon. It looks like he's confident in the amount of damage he's getting off here. Ah, it's close. Let's see. So I'm seeing 6.
6. He did not play the choice band, so yeah, he's not even going for the knockout. And Escape Rope Guzma will be able to take the game here. And Aiden going up 1-0 versus Tord Reklev. Pikachu Zekrom GX just proving, yeah, I'm fast. I don't know if you can deal with me. Our game's going to take like 2 to 3 turns. It's fine.
Right. Aiden is not here to play long games, and that worked out fantastically for him. He's able to get so much pressure on the board. And Tord just seemed like he was one step behind each time, and he knew exactly what he needed to do. It was just so hard to piece together the right play. He found a really great line at the end, but Aiden had the exact cards he needed to finish off the game.
Yeah. So Tord does have one thing going for him in game 2. Gets to go first.
Yep.
But Pikachu Zekrom is a deck known for, you know, some pretty blistering fast starts.
Yeah, turn 1 attacks are definitely a thing that can occur here. So,
like, I'm pretty sure Aiden had a turn 1 attack last game, but he went first.
Right. he definitely had that available to him if the rules allowed it to occur.
So going forward into the game, what do you think Tord has to do to actually seal the victory?
It's tough. So I think he found the right line with the use of his Tapu Lele to attack into the Pikachu and Zekrom. It's a great way to get that odd amount of damage that you need to get in there to start to soften it up. You don't really want to use a Zoroark in that spot. And after that, he just needs to find the right card. So if he can get a Stinger GX in play and make Aiden have to draw potentially 8, 9 prize cards, then that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, and of course, get more Zoroark in play. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, using trade usually makes your deck work.
Yeah, it's quite a rare sight to see Tord only have 1 Zoroark GX in play at a time. Looking for the prizes. Thunder Mountain, Energy Switch, Choice Band, Energy Switch, Choice Band, Tapu Koko GX. These prizes are essentially most of the cards you would want to see in this matchup, sans Tapu Koko.
Oh man, that is not good.
Meanwhile, 2 double colorless prized for Tord, but he has 8 energy that he can attack with all of his Pokemon, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, that is going to be pretty tough for Aiden to overcome if he's not able to have access to all those choice bands and the energy switches. That's especially how, with the energy switches, how he gets that turn 1 knockout. I don't think that's going to be available to him unless he just finds exactly what he needs.
Yeah, he does play 4 energy switch as opposed to the 2 or 3 that you see some of the other lists playing, going with the full 4, but only plays those 2 choice band, and choice band is one of the best cards in this matchup.
Yep. Always love seeing that Ditto pop up. Got his hands up. He's so ready to go.
I'm ready. I could be anyone. All right, Professor Elm's lecture coming down turn 1 for Tord. Just had it in his hand with the Tapu Lele.
Also has that Pokemon communication, so he's going to get all the Pokemon that he wants into play.
Yeah, definitely a much better start here from Tord. If you remember last game, he had that triple Guzma hand that got Marshadowed away, and that was really the only way he was still in the game.
Right. So we see him go for the Alolan Grimer this time around. If he can get that Muck into play early, he could potentially avoid Tapu Koko Prism Star, Marshadows, a lot of different abilities that can really be a bother.
Yeah, and that's the usual tech card of choice for Zoroark decks to combat most of the Lightning decks.
Right, especially when they play Jirachi. Of course, Aiden's still not playing those Jirachis in his deck, but nevertheless going to be good.
This hand's looking pretty insane from Aiden here. He drew that electromagnetic radar for the turn, has some energy to discard, also has that Lily in his hand to draw up to 8, and a Marshadow Let Loose for good measure.
This is nuts. This is exactly what he wants to see.
Meanwhile, Tord has that Olivia in his hand. You might not think his hand looks pretty good, but his hand equals 2 Zoroark GX.
Yeah, which is 4 extra cards, which is going to be a pretty strong setup. So both players playing with everything they got here in this final round of day 1.
Yeah, who needs Welder as a supporter when you have Olivia to get 2 Zoroark GX?
That's pretty good.
Electromagnetic Radar getting 2 Pikachu Zekrom GX. Aiden did have one of them prized last game. We saw him kind of struggle a little bit and have to charge up that Zeraora. And really only taking the game because the judge netted him Choice Band Electro Power.
Right. Definitely could have seen a different game. Had it gone the other way. Wow, look at this. He also found the Tapu Koko Prism Star. He's going to get it in play and an energy switch.
Aiden looking like he really wants to day 2 here. Energy switch the Zeraora to the Zapdos in the active spot. Will be able to take a knockout with Thunder Assault, but not before he plays Marshadow and puts his opponent down to 4 cards, or up to 4 cards.
Yeah. So both players are going to see 4 new cards. Aiden would love to have one more Lightning Energy to really get the full use out of that Tapu Koko before Muck comes into play, but honestly, you take 1 energy whenever you can get it.
Yep, meanwhile, Tord, again, really just wants to find Zoroark GXs. But his hand does not seem like it can get there.
Oh, no.
Acerola, Mew, Persian, and a Choice Band. That is not looking too hot for Tord.
How did Aiden find his other energy switch? There's 2 more in the prize cards. Come on, man.
His hand is raring to go, especially with that Volkner. One of the best supporter cards you can find for after turn 1.
Right. You just always need that little bit of juice to keep on going, and Volkner's great at that.
He picks the one prize card that doesn't really matter, the Tapu Koko GX.
Unfortunate. Oh, was that a top deck Zoroark? Yeah, there we go.
That was a top deck Zoroark, and there we go. Tord is on the trade train.
Looks like he's counting the amount of cards that are in Aiden's hand, potentially eyeing up that Persian.
Maybe want to make him pay.
Yep. Instead, he might just discard it. He doesn't know if it's going to be able to give him much use here.
All right, trade away. Acerola hitting a Poipole and an Olivia. Olivia, one of the best cards you can get right now. Fetching a Zoroark GX and most likely a Persian GX as well. One thing he really does need to find, though, is that Alolan Muck, so maybe hoping for something like a Pokemon Communication off this last trade.
Yep. And it's like
or Denene GX.
Yeah, so he's got that extra bench space.
Olivia's amazing.
That's good, yeah.
Get Zoroarks, you get Denene, like.
He's also got some Pokemon that he can throw away with the ability of Denene, so he can draw all these cards, then start using his trades, start to fuel up for his Persian to start taking big knockouts in the future.
Oh, it is unfortunate, though. He's going to have to throw away that Mew. 3 Pokemon discarded, by the way, but with double Rescue Stretcher, it's actually not too bad.
Yep. So now we are in Tord mode. Trades, trades, trades.
Pokemon Communication, he has another one as well, so he has that Alolan Muck available to him. Puts back that Zora, and I think we're for sure going to see it right here. There we go. Power of Alchemy is now active in play. No more basic abilities.
Yep, Persian also coming down too, so if this Zoroark were to be knocked out, many cards are going to go Tord's way. This is exactly what he wants to see. He's going to be able to take an energy off the board. Already seen Tapu Koko Prism Star, so it's going to be very difficult for Aiden to be able to get enough energies in play without the use of something like Thunder Mountain.
All right, and there we see Aridas beating 120 damage, taking out that active Zapdos. And now it's on Aiden to see if he can actually figure out a way to do something. His hand is actually very bad.
Yeah, I think he needs to find like a Rayquaza top deck along with a few other things. Like,
well, he has
oh yeah, he's got the Muck there. So there's he really needs to find Thunder Mountain along with extra support. This is tough.
So a Gladion to get the Thunder Mountain from the prizes, and then.
So I think he's in trouble.
Oh, he's very much in trouble. Draws a Lightning for his turn, just adding to his hand. He's going to have another Lightning from this Volkner if he chooses, and then just a single item card. But you don't have access to Denene GX. You don't have access to Marshadow. You can't have Free Retreat with your Zeraora. You're really just stuck.
Man, Muck does not like making things easy. Aiden's even wondering if that Radar would be able to even get him enough at this point.
Yeah, looking for that Ultra Ball instead. So many lightning in his hand.
Yeah.
Already had to use his Tapu Koko Prism, so every time he's discarding lightning energy, they're gone for the game.
Yeah.
Ultra Ball finds him another Zapdos. But Zapdos does not really take a knockout here on this board.
Yep.
And I believe, at least from his hand, he doesn't have a way to retreat either.
So we might have to see full voltage come into play, honestly. Just something to get energies on the board, or is he just gonna have to pass?
Well, I think if you take the threat of Tag Bolt GX off the table, Tord's gonna run away with the game.
Right.
It's one of the biggest things Tord has to worry about in this matchup, and honestly, if he used any other GX attack, I would be ecstatic for Tord, if he was Tord.
Yep. I think Tord's pretty happy with this. He knows that his opponent does not have very much going on in his hand. He's got just 3 energies out of the potential 5 that he could have got here.
Yeah, and the thing to note is that even though we haven't really played many turns in this match, I believe 4 turns game 1, 2 turns game 2, there's 18 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, these have been really long turns and a lot of thoughts going into what has honestly not been a lot of work by either player, but it turns out being a lot of cards being played.
Yeah. Every time they play a card, they have to make like 13 decisions.
Yeah. So the Kukui is played. We also see the Persian now is going to get promoted.
Oh, we might see a Vengeance GX.
Oh, he can use his GX attack too and just bounce on out of there.
Yep. No, Slashback GX. Vengeance is his first attack.
Yep. So Slashback comes in. It's very similar to that Golisopod attack that everyone's so familiar with.
Yeah, where'd he go?
He's somewhere under a rock.
All right, Tord at 3 prizes to Aiden's 5. Aiden finally will be able to attack this turn, but is it enough? He did not draw into a way to actually boost his damage. He does have Volkner for something like the Electro Power. Might be looking for Choice Band here too, but doesn't have it in his deck. Gets the Field Blower.
Yeah, this is so tough. Just doesn't really have enough going for him at this point.
Yeah, and then there is the full Blitz, 150 damage on that Zoroark GX. And we'll be able to search his deck for up to 3 lightning energy, most likely going to the benched. Opts for just the 2 though, doesn't want to overextend too much. He is down a few energy.
So as soon as that Tag Bolt GX is unavailable, this means that Tord sees opportunities to where Asa Rolo can come into play, and he can really just start to work around anything that Aiden's got here.
He senses weakness.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you see Tord speed up. He knows his game plan, he knows what to do. He just needs to look through his hand of 20 cards and find it.
Yeah, and honestly, he needs to do it pretty fast because we're getting to a point where we're going to need every minute of this clock to play a full game 3.
Yeah, remember, these players are at 16 match points. They are 5-2-1. You need 19 match points to make it into day 2. So if they end up tying, they will knock each other out of contention.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Tord, double colorless with the active, takes the 120 damage, puts it on the Pikachu Zekrom, and Aiden benching the Tapu Koko GX, but no ability here, just attaches to it Lilies to draw 6 cards.
Yeah, I don't think there's any card that helps him out here. He's in a tough spot. He could have potentially found a knockout if he was able to find enough Electro Power.
Yeah, but the hard thing is, if you take the knockout,
you're gonna lose. Yeah,
towards the catwalk.
That's right.
And Aiden scoops it up. We are going to a game 3 here. A little over 15 minutes left. That should be enough to play a full game.
Yeah, and I think we got to see what both decks are capable of over these 2 games. Aiden can have very explosive turns, and just the sheer consistency of what Tord is able to do. His deck can definitely withstand what Aiden does, but man, if Aiden gets another 6 energy turn, It's really, really scary.
Yeah, well, we saw how powerful going first was for the Zoroark deck. And going second this game 3, that's one of the advantages of winning the first game.
Right, so Tord doesn't have to worry about getting knocked out on the first turn, but he does have to worry about always being just one step behind, maybe even just a half step. Has to get his Pokemon into play, avoid that Marshadow being a real bother, because honestly, if Tord doesn't find enough basic Pokemon off of his opening hand, you can really get locked out of the game with an early Marshadow.
One of the best starters for Tord actually in this matchup is Tapu Lele GX, I would think.
Yeah.
Just going second, you can attach that double colorless and maybe sneak a little bit of damage on that Pikachu Zekrom, but you are giving up a GX knockout, but maybe that's what he wants, and you go Persian, get everything set up.
All right, you can definitely, if you can get even 60 damage onto that Pikachu and Zekrom, you can sneak in a big knockout with your Persian on the following turn with a triple acceleration energy.
All right, here we go. Drawing hands for the final game of the final round of Swiss. These players need a win to make it into day 2. Tournament life on the line.
All right, let's see what we're working with here.
Doesn't look too bad. The Palpad is prized. Yep. But that's usually for a later game.
Like right.
3 lightning energy and a Denene GX as well. He does play 2 of those, so he at least won't be hurt on that part. But just the turn 1 Volkner, usually you would want to see a little bit more explosiveness, but he could be going for something like Denene this turn as well.
Yeah, we'll see what he's able to grab here.
Meanwhile, Tord did start that Tapu Lele. He will be able to start attacking if he has the right sequence of cards in his hand.
Yeah, looks like both players have workable hands, not the best. Aiden could certainly turn this into one of those wild hands. As soon as he grabs a Dedenne, he could get all of those cards drawn and really start going off.
Yeah, Electromagnetic Radar, just another amazing card that came out of Unbroken Bonds that really brought this deck together to really push it into like the top tier decks. Discarding 2 lightning energy as well. It's exactly what you want to see. Denene and Pikachu and Zekrom GX coming into his hand. He also has, I believe, an escape rope. Could be a useful card as well. Getting the Tapu Koko Prism onto the bench, being able to use Dance of the Ancients.
Yeah, Aiden looks like he has a few cards that he can use here. If he wants to even just use this escape rope and bounce around, then start to draw the cards, he's in a pretty great spot.
Yeah, unfortunately, does not have access to another Pokemon because that escape rope would bring the Pikachu Zekrom into the active spot, so you wouldn't be able to Tapu Koko to it.
Yeah, that makes it a little tougher.
6 cards off that Dede change. Did he hit what he wanted?
Oh, that doesn't look the best.
Energy to the active. Nest Ball, but the one thing about this deck is its turn 1 is kind of a little worse compared to the deck with Jirachi.
Right, so he's not going to be able to see all those item cards and help himself out here. He really wanted to find some more cards to play along with something like Marshadow. If he was able to combine this turn with a Marshadow, put Tord with just 4 cards, he could find himself in a potential scenario where he just wins on the following turn. But instead, he's looking at Field Blower.
Yeah, this hand is not looking good.
Electric Power. Yeah, these just don't get there.
Benches the Zapdos, retreats, and then we'll see a Dance of the Ancients, but that will be all he's going to be able to do here. And we'll see a pass to Tord, and let's see what Tord will be able to do. Yeah. His hand is looking pretty stacked.
Tord has a fantastic hand.
I mean, most of the time, Tord's hands are fantastic.
Right. When you're playing 4 Tapu Lele, of course, you can just continually search out whatever supporter you're going to need at that right time. Looks like this time he's going to be going for that classic Elms Lecture. Grab him all of these basic Pokemon, and hopefully he can just go off the following turn.
Yep, there is the second Tapu Lele GX hitting the bench. Professor Elm's lecture pulled to the front, and we'll see double Zorua Ditto, or?
Yeah, could see a mix, maybe adding in that Meowth as well. When you do have these Tapu Lele GX in play, any potential for Persian to sneak out would be pretty cool.
It looks like you are right, Kyle. There is the trifecta. Ditto, Zorua, and Meowth. He has an Ultra Ball in hand as well that could fetch the Alolan Grimer if he chooses to.
Yeah, it just really depends how much he wants to commit to this hand. He has some resources that could guarantee Zoroark in the following turn. It just depends if he wants to get all these Pokemon in play now or if he just wants to wait a little bit.
And he looks like he wants to wait a little bit. Passes the turn back to Aiden, who drew an Ultra Ball for the turn.
So big.
Ultra Ball equals Marshadow here, and Marshadow let loose, draws him some cards, and maybe into a supporter, and maybe into an attack this turn.
Right. This is pretty much the only thing that would get him out of here is finding Marshadow or a Tapu Lele in this situation, able to draw into the perfect card, and now he has some options to even get a knockout, which would be huge.
Yeah, unfortunately, the other Denene GX is prized. That could have been an option for him here as well.
Right.
But there we see Zeraora GX coming down to the bench. Marshadow let loose. Get rid of all those cards in your hand, Tord. I know you had Zoroarks in there.
How did he know? So these 4 cards are going to be very big for Aiden. He would love to find a supporter to help him out, and he needs to definitely get this Zapdos moving out of the active spot because he's not getting anything done here right now.
Yeah, something maybe like a Guzma energy, even just to take a knockout with Zapdos on something like the Ditto.
Right. Energy switches.
Energy switch, but I don't see a supporter there. I see a bunch of Pokemon.
This is not good.
No energy here either means he can energy switch retreat,
man.
but no attack. And there is a pass, not even an attachment for the turn. This is heartbreaking for Aiden.
And Tord perks up immediately. His hand is amazing. He's got a Dedenne if he wants to draw a lot of cards.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's only a Zoroark GX Dedenne Ultra Ball. It's fine.
No big deal. Yeah, this is perfect. Perfect. I'll stop.
Oh, because you got the Persian GX. I get it.
You can cast the rest of it. I'm going home.
Persian GX from the Ultra Ball will be able to evolve that Meowth, evolve the Zoroark into the evolve the Zora into the Zoroark GX, and then Dedenne change coming down for the full 6 cards. Hits a double colorless as well. Trade coming down. Doesn't really draw much of anything useful. He actually would have loved to see something like a Guzma here.
Right. I'm really curious what he wants to value here. Is the Alolan Muck going to be the big ticket item here?
Yes.
And yeah, he's going to go for it. I think it's a fantastic call. Even though you only have that one trade available, you do have your Persian, so all these GX Pokemon that could potentially get knocked out are going to be your way to draw the cards. And if your opponent doesn't have access to free retreating and Marshadows, all this disruption, I think you're in a fantastic spot. Woo!
Professor Kukui drawing 2 energy. Doesn't really need much of those, but there's the double colorless. 60 damage thanks to the Kukui on the Zapdos. I believe it should be 20 more.
Yep, there was that Kukui played.
Hopefully the players will see that soon, but energy coming down on the benched Pikachu and Zekrom GX, and a pass from Aiden here. Tord does his first trade, trades into that Olivia if he wants to play it here.
Honestly, at this point in the game, you kind of want to use these supporter cards that aren't going to be providing much help to you. You can get some more Pokemon into your hand and then eventually start to fuel your Persian. So yeah, it's a great turn to go ahead and use this card. Just get these Pokemon out of your deck so you can start drawing the real gas.
Yeah, and plus, you know, getting another Zoroark in play is always good.
Yeah, I don't know which one he wants to go with. Does he want to do the Muck? He didn't want to do it last turn.
Double colors coming down on the bench. Tapu Lele really diversifying his outs. And then Power of Alchemy coming down. And it is not a knockout. It should be at 100.
should have had 60 on it.
Yep. All right, so we've
We've
got that corrected. Well done, gentlemen.
All right, Aiden draws for his turn, draws a Guzma. That means he'll at least be able to attack this turn with a full blitz or attack bolt if he chooses to.
So now he just has to choose what Pokemon does he want to knock out at this point. Is his only option the Alolan Muck?
That or maybe something like the Persian, but yeah, Alolan Muck seems to be his choice.
Unfortunate that he has to use these energy switches if he wants to start getting damage into play. He'd much rather be attaching energies for the turn, but if you recall, he's got 3 in his prize cards. It's going to be pretty tough to find them at the right point.
Yeah, it's a little bad. All right, at least he'll be able to full blitz here, charge up either the active or the bench. What do you think he'll go for?
It's tough. He'd really like to see his prize cards before he places these, you know, because then he could actually have an idea of what he's supposed to do. Of course, if you play these onto the bench, maybe you can get an extra turn or two instead of just having all these energies in play and then a Tapu Lele coming and wiping you out. But maybe he doesn't fear it. Triple energy acceleration and other damage amplifiers, would it be able to get there? I don't think so.
All right, well, Aiden chooses the safer play, charges up the Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench, takes his 1 prize. It's a lightning energy. Who would have thought?
Yeah, he's going to draw into a lot of those over the course of the game.
Tord uses his trade for the turn. Benches another Zora, trying to get more Zoroark GX in play. That's been the one thing about this whole match is for these 2 games that have been really close, it's just, yeah, I can't find Zoroarks.
Right. And this is exactly where Tord finally wants to be at. He's getting relevant damage onto the Pikachu and Zekrom. His Zoroark is in play. He's drawing all of his cards that he wants to see. And his opponent is struggling.
Yeah, he drew a lightning energy for the turn. That means his hand is still doing nothing. And it's awkward because if you can't really overcommit the attack bolt because then it just walks right into Catwalk.
Right.
So you have to really just full blitz again. Maybe charge up the Zeraora, maybe charge up the Pikachu.
How many energy does he have left? There's a ton in the prize cards too. He'd almost run out of energies at this point. Yeah, he's gonna have to use his GX attack here.
All right, well there we go. Tord counting the Pokemon in his discard too. Like, I know what I need to do.
Yep, he's definitely got it lined up for him.
Has the Zoroark GX in hand as well. So he'll be able to actually just take the knockout clean here. But then there's always that threat of the Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench with that 4 energy.
Yep, so wants to know how many cards his opponent has. Tapu Lele could certainly take a knockout with 1 additional energy or any damage amplifying, but instead chooses to go with a Pokemon with a little more hit points, hopefully to play around that Pikachu and Zekrom on the following turn. If he can combine this with a Judge, he's in a fantastic spot, and of course, he does have that Persian available, so should be able to find exactly what he needs here.
Does get that Acerola off of trade. Not really useful in this spot. Would have been amazing if Aiden full blitzed.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Does need 1 more bench Pokemon here to be able to take the knockout with Riotous Beating. Only doing 100 damage right now, but he does have that Catwalk.
So we could see Zora Judge or some combination of Rescue Stretcher with the Judge in play as well. Just something to try to mess with the hand of Aiden because he has a lot of cards right now, and it's pretty likely that he does have some way to deal relevant damage to this Zoroark.
You would think that.
But he doesn't, yeah. Don't tell Tord.
Opts to get the Meowth possibly. Definitely eyeing down some cards, maybe Ultra Ball as well. Could just try to be feeding more Pokemon into the discard for vengeance.
Right.
And it looks like the timer has run out, and time will most likely be called here. And this is not looking good.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough time.
No.
This can be so tough. If he was able to take a knockout this turn without time being called, I feel like the cards were certainly on the table for this knockout, but it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, so I think he might be forced to try to set up a big vengeance.
Yeah, he could do
Choice band,
vengeance,
Kukui.
choice band, Kukui, and just hope that his opponent had a tag team in the active spot.
And this is the heartbreaker you see, too. Both of these players need this win. Yeah, so it looks like, as of right now, Choice Band, I think you replaced the Meowth with something else.
Right. And as you get the information of time being called, of course, it's going to impact your decision. Kind of worked out for him in that sense, but it's going to be so tough to take these prizes.
Looks like Ultra Ball and Choice Band were the cards of choice. Ultra Ball discards the Zoroark and the Acerola, two cards that you just legitimately cannot use right now. Getting essentially another Pokemon to possibly trade away.
Yep, he's got that Meowth there now.
This is definitely going to come down to the wire. The last turns of the game. Aiden needing only 3 prize cards left. Tord needing all 6, but taking 3 this turn. Will he be able to take a knockout on the last Pikachu and Zekrom GX to steal the victory and steal a spot into day 2?
That would definitely be something here.
Well, yeah, he has to bench that Meowth because he still needs the extra damage.
Yeah, he needs to hold the choice band for the Persian if he was able to work out that very last fringe scenario.
And there we go. Riot is beating, taking the knockout. Tord goes down to 3 prizes left. We'll have 1 more turn in this game.
Oh, man, here we go.
Aiden draws first turn, draws a Guzma. That could be huge here. Although he does not have access to any Electro Power or Choice Band as of right now. But with that Dedenne GX, he might be able to draw into it.
Yeah, it's tough to see what he really wants to go for at this point. Dedenne could draw him a ton of cards, but instead he's going to go for the Marshadow. A little bit of disruption. It's going to guarantee that Tord has a pretty difficult spot getting a huge knockout here.
Yeah, so Aiden still can win this game too. He just needs to draw into multiple Electro Power. Choice Band is also an option for him.
With just 4 cards, 1 Electro Power, and an Energy Switch.
No, he needed to take the knockout this turn.
Yep.
It is looking like he might just play the Guzma, but the only knockout he might take is the Meowth, and he might have to go for it.
Yeah, so they would leave. Oh, so he's got the Electro Power as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
he can take this knockout on the Tapu Lele.
And retreat.
So also he has the Energy Switch, so this way he can protect against that Wild Vengeance attack that we were talking about.
yeah.
This is so much better. So this is a great play around. He found the exact perfect way to use his cards here. He's going to be able to take this knockout, and he's going to be eyeing up 1 final prize if he can take it on either that Meowth or that Dedenne. He's going to find his way into day 2 here.
It is now turn 2 of time. Tord needs to take 3 prizes to win here, and I honestly don't think he can do it.
It's so, I don't think there's a way. He'd have to play a card like Counter Catcher.
Or maybe a card like something we see in Stefan's deck, playing Giratina.
Right.
Dealing the 10 damage to the Zapdos that has 10 left.
Yeah, you can get a little bit of extra chip in there.
But unfortunately, it looks like all of the outs that Tord has available won't be enough. He has access to his deck thanks to Catwalk, but again, I just don't think there's a combination of cards in his deck to take 3 prizes this turn. Although I could be proven wrong. It is Tord.
Right. I've been running through the deck list in my mind, and it just seems so tough. But if anyone can find a way out, Tord's going to do it.
The second Persian GX comes down, but it is useless as you can only use 1 Catwalk per turn. And there we see a Catwalk. What is in the deck? I don't think there's anything.
Yeah. So even the Kukui scenario was going to be pretty difficult too, because I believe that Pal Pad we talked about was in the prize cards.
Oh, that's right. Catwalk opting to get, I think, the Olivia and Guzma. Really just a concession of like, well, there's nothing I can really get, so I'm just going to try to get these cards anyway.
Right. Put himself in a situation where he gets down to 1 prize card, and then both guys just smile at each other and hope that Aiden doesn't have it, you know? It's tough.
So there is a route that he can Guzma, the Pikachu, Zekrom, and maybe present a way of like, I'll eventually get it.
Right.
If Aiden doesn't have it in his hand. And I think that's what we might be seeing, but no, Guzma on that Marshadow.
So he's not going to be taking the knockout here. He's just going to pass. Or actually, no, he's
Pass.
yep, so he passes the turn. That's essentially a concession from Tord from that standpoint. Unable to close the game out on his own rights. Is Aiden going to be able to complete this game, however?
Well, with Tord not taking the knockout here, it actually turns off Aiden's hot deck of the Ultra Ball for the Dedenne GX, not being able to really draw any cards, and because of that, not able to take the knockout here.
It looks like he's just going to be a tad short.
And this is where the players just stare at each other.
Yep.
And wait.
It's so tough.
Yeah. Would you have had it if I knocked out Sarora?
Yep, so they're going to discuss how that went, but in terms of what we saw, a tie.
Would you have had it if I knocked out Sarora?
Yeah, I feel like with both of these players, they know what's at stake.
Right.
And they're just trying to figure out how the game would have gone these next 2 turns.
Yep. So it looks like Aiden's going to go ahead and show the Dedenne as the, or the Tapu Lele as the guarantee for the knockout. Yep, and
right. So
it looks like a tie.
Really need the points for top 22 or the script there.
it looks like
Oh, okay. I mean,
Sometimes it's like that, man.
game over the script if I didn't really need top 22 points.
No, I harbor no ill will.
All right, well,
yeah. All right. I was trying to hear what Tord was saying
Yeah.
towards that last end, but it is looking like a tie. We'll get confirmation on that for sure, but you hate to see it. Oh man.
it's so tough. Both players played fantastically in last match. We got to see a lot of really cool tricks. Towards that was flying at the end, but just not fast enough. It really just needed that 1 extra turn. I think he was almost there. Aiden, of course, showed that he was going to be able to have that knockout at the very end too. He had the Ultra Ball there, so he could have worked out a scenario too. Both players just going to get that 1 point.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to see. Unfortunately.